founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. I've never done this in a press conference, but I almost feel compelled to do it here. But I have 27, nearly 28 years of legal experience. I've argued before the United States Supreme Court on more than one occasion. I've written at least 30 plus briefs before the United States Supreme Court. I've argued before state Supreme Courts. I've argued in almost every one of the federal courts of appeals. I have experience as a guardian ad litem. Also have worked in juvenile cases. I'm a dean and a professor of law. I'm board certified in the appellate practice. I've never had to go through that, but almost feel compelled to because I've never had a case in which I have been requested by clients to appear to represent them, and there's been opposition to my appearance. This is Phil Moran, who is Massachusetts counsel. He has a case currently pending before the U.S. Supreme Court. He knows me, he knows us. He has 45 years of experience, and that name is M-O-R-A-N. He is now also counsel on this case. He moved my admission, and that is being opposed. And the judge indicated that he will take that under advisement. If you remember, we were here about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I filed a motion to appear because DCF wanted to hold the family in contempt of an unconstitutional gag order. And because of my other experience in constitutional laws, requested to appear. They opposed it at that point in time. But nevertheless, we, through then local counsel, filed a legal memo that clearly indicated that the gag order was unconstitutional. 4 days after that, DCF decided that they would drop the contempt and also agreed to lift the gag order. And the following Monday, a week after I first came here for this case, the gag order that had been in place since November 7 was gone, and no contempt against the family was pending. Now I'm continuing to be here at the request of the family because significant violations of their constitutional rights have been occurring since February of 2013. You don't take parents and you don't take children from parents when parents are actively engaged in seeking the best expert medical care, are following the advice of that best expert medical care, and there is some rookie doctor and a psychologist who saw Justina for 25 minutes without actually consulting any of the other physicians who are experts, who are head of their departments, and then changed the diagnosis that had been helping her from some kind of physical conditions of mitochondrial.
Can you tell us what happened up there without trying to
I will, and change it to the matter of psychological. And so I'm here to represent the constitutional violations of not only Justina and also the parents. But what happened today is essentially another kicking of the can down the road. The judge said by the end of the week he will also issue a ruling on the two things. One is my request to be admitted to be a part of this case to represent the family. Mr. Moran's already, because he's a Massachusetts attorney. The other is an agreement that was signed today by the family, and it is a joint agreement to return conditional custody of Justina back to the family in their home. That is pending before the court, and that is what is being also to be ruled on later this week. Our goal has been the same as the family's goal from the very beginning, and that is to get Justina back home, number one, and to get her proper medical treatment, number two. Obviously, along with that, she needs education, which she hasn't had for 14 months. So that's what is at issue, is to get her back home and to continue the medical treatment that she had 13, 14 months ago. That's one of the matters before the court that the court said will take under advisement and will issue a ruling by the end of the week.
Were both parents in the courtroom, and what's their reaction to this? Are they pleased by the turn of events today?
Both parents were in the courtroom. They're obviously not pleased by what happened in the court because they're seeking a decision. And they just visited with their daughter, and Reverend Pat Mahoney was there. Oh, you weren't there. Outside. he wasn't inside, but they visited with their daughter just within the last week, and Justina said, "I feel like a prisoner, and I don't know why I can't go home with my parents."
Did DCF address why they didn't provide the medical care that the judge ordered weeks ago?
Did DCF address?
Was that brought up?
DCF address what?
Why they didn't?
She was supposed to get medical treatment for tufts.
They did not. They did not bring that up.
Did that come up in court?
No, it did not.
Matt, just to be clear, you're saying that the judge agreed to rule by, took their advice and to rule by Friday whether to grant custody back to the parents?
That's correct.
What are the conditions?
The only conditions in the joint agreement is what they already wanted to do, and that is to get her back to the treating doctors who are experts with which they were treating 13, 14 months ago.
So everybody agrees on that. So both sides are in agreement that you can go back.
DCF is not in agreement on that. That is an agreement between the parents and counsel, and then the counsel for Justina. That is a joint agreement between parents and the attorney representing Justina. That is what's presented. DCF is in opposition to that agreement.
What's their reason?
You know,
It's been a bad year for the DCF.
DCF doesn't have valid legal or factual reasons for opposing the parents to have custody of their own daughter. They didn't have reasons back in February 2013. They've never had a single reason to withhold Justina from her home from that time to the present.
You say that the parents were not pleased. Is that because this is just continue as they go on, going to get a decision by the end of the week, but they're not pleased?
The main reason they're not pleased is because of the opposition by the counsel for Justina to allow my motion to allow Attorney Staver to become pro hac vice to become counsel of the parents. And that was violently opposed by Justina's counsel, court-appointed counsel, and that was what really upset the parents, that the attorneys that they want to represent them may not be able to do so.
Are the parents hopeful that the judge will rule in their favor on Friday?
At this moment, the parents are not hopeful about anything.
When the agreement was signed, it's between Justina's lawyers and the parents' lawyers.
Correct. Where
does DCF fall in that? Because do they not have to be part of that agreement of allowing her to go home?
They do, and unless the court orders otherwise. And so this was a joint agreement submitting to the court that the attorney for Justina and the attorney and the parents, the Pelletiers, are in agreement that Justina ought to go home to mom and dad. DCF is in opposition, so they opposed that, and that is the issue that the judge is going to take under advisement and issue a ruling between now and the end of the week.
And then what would the ruling be? What do the parents hope the ruling will be?
Well, the parents hope that the ruling would be at least what's in that joint agreement, that Justina gets an opportunity to immediately go home to their family, that they would then be able to, they already have medical appointments scheduled as recent or as soon as April 2nd and March 24th, and then there's also April 2nd, so they've got medical appointments where they've already reached out to her previous experts to see her, and they also want to get her back into school.
Yeah.
And just very recently, DCF put out a statement that they were working towards getting Justina back into Connecticut.
Yeah.
Is there anything further on that today?
No.
Yeah, they did. They did move. The attorney for DCF did indicate to the court that they want Justina to go back to Connecticut, but under certain conditions. And the main condition is that she would become under the Connecticut DCF, and that they would have control over it.
They basically want to kick the can to Connecticut and have her under the custody of Connecticut DCF and not Massachusetts DCF.
Is that acceptable to the
That is not acceptable.
DCF/Deval packet.
What's that?
DCF/Deval packet.
Yeah, it's not acceptable because, you know, just picture your own self. Would it be acceptable for your child because you're seeking medical treatment and someone else disagrees for you now to lose custody? And that's not acceptable to any parent. So Massachusetts DCF has no reason to continue custody. Consequently, Connecticut DCF has no reason to begin custody she needs to be back in the home with her mom and dad, and that's what the resolution is that they're seeking.
Just to be clear, so on Friday they're going to determine if she goes to Connecticut DCF?
Well, the judge is going to issue a ruling by Friday. It could be earlier than that, but he said by the end of the week he will issue a ruling on whether to have her go back. I guess it could be a wide variety of things. Whether to have her go back according to the agreement that was proposed by the attorneys for Justina and the family, custody with mom and dad in Connecticut, or whether to move her to Connecticut jurisdiction where she goes into some kind of foster care facility, or stay exactly where she is in the status quo in Massachusetts. Those are the three general options, and we just don't know which way the judge will ultimately rule on those.
Why does DCF oppose your counsel?
I think, let me just give you an example why I've been practicing 27 to 28 years, he's been practicing 45 years, collectively have 75 years or so. We've never seen this happen in any other situation, under any circumstance. I don't know why DCF opposes it or anybody else opposes it, but they did originally. I don't know, other than, we ultimately have the same goal, and that is to get Justina home, and that's what we want. I can tell you that if there is no movement on this case, there is no significant movement where the family gets Justina back, we will consider all other state and federal remedies to pursue very aggressively and vigorously to put an end to this tragedy of 14 months. To include other appellate review in which we will seek whatever remedies. I won't tell you what remedies we'll be seeking, but we're going to be seeking every single remedy that is possible to get Justina home. Because this nightmare of 14 months has to come to an end.
We don't think so. They were extremely upset coming out of the courtroom. They came hoping that they would be leaving with the news that Justina would be returning back home. It was extremely troubling to them that that decision was not made. It's also extremely troubling that DCF would be opposing. And I think we're seeing the challenges with Mass DCF. Why would they oppose anything of this nature? So if you give us a second, we'll see about the parents. Maybe Matt can answer any more questions and we'll go from there.
Well, Reverend Mahoney, one more question. Before he went in, Mr. Pelletier said that the girl was getting poison in her stomach, gangrene in her feet. What kind of condition is she in? And did that come up today?
I wasn't in the court, and I'll look to the attorneys. I do know, and we mentioned earlier, Justina was taken to the emergency room on Saturday. She was discharged. We have no report of what happened there. But we do know this, that the judge 2 weeks ago ordered that medical care be turned over to Tufts University, and she has not seen one doctor from Tufts University in 2 weeks. So we'll see about the family, and I'll get back to you. You can ask the attorneys questions.
The family have noticed there is a button that has been added to put in her abdomen by her treating physicians at Tufts because of some bowel complications. When she was admitted here, Boston Children's wanted to just ignore that and assume that she could have normal movement. They found out that there was a problem, and so they went back to do exactly what Tufts ultimately did at the beginning, and monitored it and medicated it the way it was supposed to. The problem is that we're starting to see red lines that are developing. That, without an expert, I'm not a medical expert, but red lines coming from that in the skin is not a good sign. That could be a sign of some kind of sepsis or other kind of infection of the sick.
We're going to have Lou and Linda are extremely upset. Lou and Linda Pelletier, Justina's parents, but Justina's sisters are here, and Jennifer will make a statement, and we'll try to field some questions. Okay. She can't answer any of the legal ramifications, but
can you just how to help? Turn this one off. Okay.